everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Today I'm going to be talking about the manga series that I can't wait to start. I didn't imagine that I would be filming a video like this because I never really thought that I would get into manga. I always sort of into anime. I say sort of because in high school I was fairly into it, but I could never find anything that I really wanted to watch or stuck with like I do with other TV, like American live action TV. I've come to realize now that I'm actually not specifically into anime as a genre. I do like watching some animes, but I find it really difficult to find which ones I enjoy. That being said, there are a couple of mangas lately that I'm just really thinking, yes, this would be really good to watch, and some of them are ones that I've seen through Daniel because he really likes watching anime. Some of them I've seen on Murphy Napier's channel, and one of them is a childhood favourite of mine as a primary school girl. The first two I'm going to talk about, I mainly added them to my list because I saw them on Murphy Napier's channel. The first one is Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. This one seems like a fun Viking adventure. I don't know a lot more about that. Murphy in her reviews has talked about how it covers some really heavy themes and she finds that interesting, and I just sort of trust her recommendations, but I also think that the cover art is interesting as well, and I'm still again on the lookout for Japanese manga or anime that doesn't have the silly goofy themes that a lot of them do, especially the big boobs and the I'm gonna get a nosebleed because I see the beautiful woman with the big boobs that are like shown in outfits that are sort of revealing but not at the same time. I'm just not super into that stuff and I find it a bit difficult to find, so if you've got some recommendations of more serious, I guess, animes, then that'd be great. I watched the Sword Art Online ones and really enjoyed them, but all of these particular mangas that I'm going to be talking about seem to be in more of a seriouser category, or a less, I call it stupid. It's more silliness, I suppose, but a less like silliness, which I'm just not really into as a consumer. The next one that I've heard Murphy talk about, but also Daniel's watched the anime for this one as well, and that is Fullmetal Alchemist. I know that Daniel's going to be pretty excited that I pick up this one as well because he's always trying to get me into animes, and he does watch some good ones as well, but I swear the ones that he mustn't know my taste very well because he gets me to watch some and I'm not enjoying them, but then the ones that he watches without me there, that he's not trying to recommend to me, I enjoy them. So it's just a bit funny that that works that way. But I just think that Fullmetal Alchemist has a really interesting premise. The whole alchemy thing is really cool, and then the scary transmorphication where like they almost, I'm probably saying the exact wrong word, but where they almost lose the younger brother, I think, one of the brothers, and he ends up having to live in a suit of armor. I just think that it's really scary and it could have some really fun themes explored in it as well. Third one is my childhood favorite anime series, and that is Sailor Moon. So there's probably a lot of you out there like me who watch Sailor Moon. For me, that was in my primary school days. We used to watch it before the bus would come. We would like get ready early, and then we would have, I think we could see the entire show, but when it had the preview clip at the end, we would have to be out the door. Otherwise, if we stayed and watched it, we would have to be racing to get to the bus. I really enjoyed Sailor Moon. I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be potentially a bit juvenile for me, but I think that's more because when they brought it over to us, it was kind of targeted. I think all the animation is the same as the Japanese anime, but it's just been dubbed. I don't know why that took so long to get out of my head because I know the difference between subbed and dubbed really well. I've known that for a long time. But I just kind of have in my head that maybe the manga might be a bit darker, or it might be a bit more older, because the girls are supposed to be in high school, but I was watching it in primary school, and also the fact that the American company who dubbed it decided not to do the last season, or whichever season they were up to, they decided not to do the next one because it had a lesbian relationship in it. So I'm feeling a bit hopeful that the themes are still going to apply to me as a, gosh, mid, nearly late 20s person. That's crazy. I'm turning 28 next year, February, so it's coming up pretty quick. But in terms of actually loving Sailor Moon, I really enjoyed, so I like the planetary alignment and everything. I like the idea that she's supposed to be this lost princess, or there's that whole other moon galaxy, solar system, other life that we learn about as well. But I also love the mystery with who is Tuxedo Mask, how's that going to unfold, and I'm really keen to actually read about it from start to finish and to see it in its actual proper manga form. So that one I'm actually the most excited about. I'm really want it for Christmas. I've got a couple of these mangas on my Christmas wish list, but I might have to narrow it down and just put Sailor Moon so that I hopefully will get it. But hopefully I will be reading that one by the end of the year or early on next year. I also feel like manga could be a really good way as well to kind of boost like my reading stats. I know I talk a lot about how you don't actually need to read a lot of books to be a reader or a booktuber, and you don't, but I think especially because it takes me a long time to get through books now, limited time or limited priorities I suppose is more accurate to say, I think adding in some mangas and some graphic novels could be really fun. I also want to do the medium a lot more as well, especially because I am really passionate about getting kids to read and not necessarily forcing them to read stuff that they don't like, but just showing them that reading comes in lots of different mediums, storytelling's come in lots of different mediums, and you can still enjoy it. So I think it'd be really great as me as a mum, even if Miles himself or any future kids are not into reading novels, maybe they might enjoy reading graphic novels or reading mangas or maybe comics. I don't know. I feel like there'd have to be something super good for me to properly get into comics. I enjoy reading the Archie comics, but more in like a casual kind of way. I've never collected them or anything like that. I like to get the big bundles off eBay to get the most bang for my buck. But I feel like I want to, especially as a mum to a really young kid too, like he's 4 months old, he's definitely not reading at this point, but that could be a really great jump because we give kids picture books and then we give them to them for a little bit and then all of a sudden jump to chapter books with things that hardly have any illustrations in them. And I think it could be really cool to also give him that sort of jump start with graphic novels and animes, sorry, not animes, I mean you can watch anime too, but mangas and comics too. So it's something that I would like to get into a bit more for myself, but also for a mum as well. Now I've just got 2 more that I want to talk about, so that's 5 altogether. And these are both ones, oh actually I have watched one with Daniel, so it's Snow White with Red Hair. Oh, I didn't say who the other ones were by. Fullmetal Alchemist is by Hiromu Arakawa. I'm probably saying these wrong, I'm really sorry. I'll put covers up too. And Sailor Moon is by Naoko Takeuchi. Now the next one that I want to talk about is Snow White with Red Hair. This one was really cool, by Sorata Akiduki. I really enjoyed watching the anime for this one. So it's about this girl with red hair. I don't know whether her name is Snow White or not. I'm not quite sure where that reference is coming in, but it's probably explained in the anime, but I just don't remember. But there's this girl who has gorgeous red hair, and a prince from either her country, I think, decides that he wants to marry her. She doesn't want to marry him at all, so she runs away from home, hides in a castle, ends up meeting these other guys who end up being a prince and his guard in another land, and so she goes to live at the castle with him and becomes an herbalist. And it's just super fun. I don't know if there's going to be some romance there between her and the prince. I don't know whether, I think the anime stopped, or I stopped watching it after a bit. I'm really bad with continuing to watch animes. Even with Sword Art Online, which I absolutely loved the first few seasons of it, I got bored when the Yuki stuff started happening. I didn't so much mind it in the light novels. I enjoyed Yuki a bit more, but then when we got to all the underworld stuff with Yu-Gi-Oh and Alice, it was okay, but it was just not as good as the original stuff. And then the final one that I want to talk about, so it's all on my phone. I can be like fancy this way because I'm using a camera now. But it's one that I haven't actually watched the anime, but I saw Daniel watching it around, like when I was around, and it really interested me. And that is 7 Seeds by Yumi Tamura. The main thing that I seem to know about this is that something happened in Japan, like there was some kind of apocalypse, and these people, I don't know how necessarily, but they were somehow frozen in time, and they've woken up now like all of these years later, and they're trying to survive. So it's kind of like a survival story, and it has all these things with like relationships and trust, and who can you really trust, and how are we all going to survive together and rebuild civilization. So that sounds really interesting to me. It could be a bit wrong, but those are the things that I took from what I had seen in the background while Daniel was watching it. So those are all the mangas that I really hope to read soon. Maybe Daniel will buy me 1 or 2 for Christmas, because it'll be something that we can discuss together. And let me know what your favourite mangas are. Did you think when I mentioned Murphy that I was going to be talking about One Piece? I don't know like whether I technically have it on my to read shelf, but it's not something that I'm super excited to read yet. Maybe one day when I get more into manga, but I've seen the anime and it just kind of makes me think, oh, that's a cute kids cartoon. But I know it must be more than that because so many people love it, but I just don't. At the moment, it's not something that's exciting me. So, but these 5 are. Let me know if you've read any of them and if you really enjoyed them. Thanks so much for watching my channel, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!